All right, welcome back, guys. This is the third episode, and today we're going to be talking about a more Asian kind of perspective. And here we have Kevin here today. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Kevin Park. I'm a senior right now in high school, and I live in South Korea.
Yeah. So, the past two episodes I've done the US and I was just exploring a bit about the UAE. As you guys know, I'm sure a lot of my viewers are from a more Western perspective, and we know that the Eastern kind of countries had a much more different response. So I think it'd be interesting if we just kind of delved into that. So as a first question, I'd just like to start off with, we all knew how before, like there was a ton of attention on South Korea, right? All the news media, because that was like one of the first few ones with like, I think it was like a cult or like a religious group that like had a ton of cases, right? But then after kind of it shifted to Europe, we didn't hear as much about it anymore. So I just want to ask, like, how was the response in South Korea to the coronavirus situation?
Well, like Koreans were generally already used to like wearing masks all the time. So when the government told us like it was a regulation thing, everyone was like up for it because most of us were wearing it anyways because of our bad air quality. So like adapting to this change wasn't that different. The cases like went like from I think like like 1,000 to maybe a couple hundred, and then it stabilized around 50 a day, which was pretty good considering how dense Korea is.
Yeah. And I heard like for China, like we know how aggressive China is with their policies. Like they were
Yeah,
super aggressive, right? South Korea doesn't seem to be even that aggressive. All they did was wear masks, like mostly, right? Like just be conscious kind of
yeah.
what you're doing. And I guess that kind of worked out at least. I heard there was like a
Like
recent rise.
yeah, we haven't had any like social distancing guidelines. Like some cafes like regulated their space and like decreased the amount of people that went inside. But other than that, like no, there was no like super strict regulation on like quarantine, like for general people. But if you had it, what they normally did was like they made you self isolate for 2 weeks, and then like Korea was really good about that because they gave you the resources. Like they gave whoever was getting quarantined a lot, like food, water, um, masks, and like hand sanitizer and stuff. Oh yeah, when my brother came back from the States, he got like a care package. So we got like more than 2 weeks of food. They send you like drinks and like a they send you food, ramyeon. Like
Yeah.
they send you a lot of stuff. They send you snacks, like
I
they
mean,
send masks, wet tissues, hand sanitizer, and everything.
oh yeah, that's really interesting because like everything else is probably like really similar in a lot of Western countries. They're like, okay, wear a mask. I mean, South Korea didn't even enforce like social distancing, which is interesting. Interesting how like masks did most of it, and I guess yeah, that policy of kind of giving them the stuff after they went home is probably really important. I know a lot of the
Yeah,
issues with self isolation is just people don't do it because they're like, oh, I can't. I need to like go shopping or like I need to go outside. Right? So yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
yeah.
But also kind of bringing it back to like how it's happening right now. There's been like a rise. Has that like, is there still a rise now, or is it like just not that big of a deal?
Yeah, it's been going up the past like 2 weeks, but that was like another big church outbreak.
Uh,
So like most of the problems are kind of arising from religious groups that aren't like regulating any like much safety measures.
I
Um, so yeah, that's kind of where the first outbreak started, and then the second one is also like a religious group that started it.
yeah.
Um, but the numbers have been going down recently. Like it went all the way to like almost 500 a day, but now it's back to like 200. So
Okay. And for you in South Korea, I know that you're applying to the US, right?
yeah.
Um, did anything change with regards to like SATs, or was that mostly just like, did any get canceled for you?
The most recent one actually didn't get canceled. Like some test centers did, but my school like had a lot of testing centers, so they're just able to get more teachers to just like look over. Um, yeah, they regulated it to like 9 to 10 people per room.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
the people around you, I know everyone is already wearing masks. Were there even any? Like, were there one or two few people that just didn't care? Because I know, obviously, in the U.S., that's like a huge issue, right? Was that even like
Yeah.
a single person or like a group of kids? That you-
Um, like there's nobody going against masks because I guess if you kind of think of it this way, Korea has like this super strict education system. So like everyone's growing up with this like they know what to do. So they know that masks help, and like clearly it does. Just looking at Korea's numbers, I guess like the people who don't really wear masks, like not my friends, but like the some of the religious groups that have been causing the recent outbreaks, they didn't like regulate when they were inside the churches. I think that's one of the problems. But my school, it's a requirement, and we also have like social distancing measures. So like you can't sit next to someone in class. Um, like when you're eating, we have these like glass side panels, so we can still see each other, but we can't like physically be next to each other.
Yeah,
So yeah, no anti-mask people in my school.
yeah. I think that's definitely one of the biggest differences. It's really obvious, right? Like the U.S. people haven't they've not grown up with this culture. I see in Asia, like it's normal. Like you're like, okay, I'll wear a mask. They won't. I'll do that, right? It's generally for your family. Like, was it just masks? I mean, for our family, we wore masks as well. I mean, we're a Chinese family. We kind of did the same thing as you guys did, but we also like we barely went out. That was kind of like they actually put in place a quarantine. And whenever we brought groceries, we had to like hand wipe, sanitize them. Did you guys do that, or was it just like buying it? Probably safe.
Yeah, I don't think we like went super cautious, but like then again, Korea was pretty safe anyways, so like we didn't really have to worry too much about it. And then usually, actually, how Korea manages it, it's like really cool. You always get a notification like where a recent person, like where exactly they traveled to. Um, so like if one person got it, it tells you this subway station at this time might have been affected, so please contact like the government and stuff. So I think that's one thing that America can't do because of all like the privacy reasons. Like Korea's kind of like they don't really care too much about their privacy. Like um they know what the government can see, and they're like, okay, if as long as it benefits us, which it is doing, because like you know if you know where that person's been, then you know where not to go to, and then like it just helps the cases.
Yeah, that's like the same as China. I'm pretty sure for China they had like ID cards. If you were, I don't know, it was like green or red, and if you were caught like outside, you'd be fine. Like that's how it is. It's such a big difference between like the Asian kind of Eastern countries and
Yeah,
U.S. most predominantly. I mean, we all know that if they kind of tried to implement something like that, it would not work. It just couldn't. I mean, not even like privacy, but like even like society, they're not developed enough. Like they have so many rural places, and suburbs can't usually have the facilities to do it. Probably only the biggest
yeah,
cities would be a huge issue of privacy, as we all know. So I mean,
yeah. And Korea's all like technologically advanced, so um yeah, wherever you go, like the government like knows that kind of sounds weird, but like um like if a person with the virus travels somewhere, they'll be able to find out. And
yeah,
then like Korea's really quick because everyone in Korea has like a smartphone,
yeah, exactly.
and like quick access to it. So something kind of funny is like in class, everyone will get the same notification like about who got who, like what virus and where. It's kind of funny, but like it's efficient.
Yeah, yeah, it's efficient. But I can really easily imagine like someone's like imagine being able to find out where someone got sick and like when, like that would be considered bad in the U.S. Not or like intrusive, right? So I mean, it kind of says something about the U.S., but it also shows like
Yeah.
cultural differences.
And like it shows how well the system worked because we were like pretty high in cases. Like we were almost the first, and then like all of a sudden we just dropped down like super quickly.
Yeah,
And like the response was pretty immediate, unlike the States. Um, like we already had all the masks and on hand, and then like Korea started testing like super quickly, and all these like the notifications we were getting about like where not to go, that was also really good.
Yeah, and I think Europe, Italy was the next one after South Korea, if I remember correctly. That was like the big one, and they struggled a lot because they didn't have nearly enough the amount of facilities. So the case, like the percentage deaths, I think Western countries is near 5 or 6%, and then if you look at like South Korea, China, Eastern countries that generally were super prepared and super like efficient with their management, it's a lot lower. Like just because they were able to have the resources ready. Okay, now let's move to like you applying to the US, right? Do you feel like this is gonna affect you next year since you're applying?
um, I kind of feel like it will in a way. I'll probably still apply to the States, but I feel like the requirements they're looking for are vastly different than what it used to be.
Yeah.
So I always focused on like my personal projects and like kind of put academics second on my priority list. Um, so I always like had a lot of these extracurricular activities, which I think are being considered a little bit more than just regular academics. And since like, I mean, Korea's a unique case, but other countries they can't necessarily um, do SAT testing.
Yeah.
Like I heard a lot of tests and it's just getting canceled last minute, and then um, I feel like they can't really use that to judge students anymore because like if they literally can't take it, you can't use that against them. So I think the fact that I didn't focus too much into academics and like what I was actually interested in kind of helped a lot, or will help.
I remember for me, I started looking to the Common App, and compared to last year, they're actually a lot more strict on where you're applying. Like not so like for example, let's say Harvard. Last year they didn't ask for specific like major and like idea you were interested in, but now like for almost every single top school for the Common Application, you have to explicitly say which majors you might be interested in. It's not binding.
Oh,
They need to know now.
yeah.
They're definitely a lot more wary on what kind of people they're kind of accepting. So there's definitely a huge impact on kind of the admissions. But yeah, I think even going on, I think it might be possible that school it might still be online, especially from the U.S. A lot of other countries might be fine, but this year it might even be next year. It might be online, and I don't know. What do you feel about potentially doing online university for the first year?
That doesn't sound that great. Because I heard of like some upperclassmen getting mad at the universities because like it almost felt like a scam because they were doing like subpar courses for the same amount of money, and that's just like way worse. No,
Like the quality just it can't stay, and it's online.
yeah,
Like you miss out like fundamentally on the university experience, right? I mean
yeah.
that's part of it, and I feel like. All right. Well, that was pretty interesting. Thanks for coming. And definitely, I hope that's a good learning kind of tool for all you guys watching, because I feel like a lot of us might not know about how these Eastern countries might have responded, and I think it provides a lot of insight to show, firstly, how important masks might be, but also fundamentally kind of that culture and perception from where it stems from. So thank you for coming.
Yep, no problem.
Hey guys, it's Eric. I've actually found out that recently the videos that I'm making about the coronavirus don't get recommended to anyone because of YouTube's guidelines, which don't allow me to talk about coronavirus without getting demonetized or at least not recommended to anyone. So as a small channel, it'd be really great if you guys watch till this point to just like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and you can always change your mind later. Thank you so much.